Thank you for staying with us. It's Citizen FM 93.7. Day 15 of September 2025, and it's 2 minutes gone past 8. So it's time for us to see what the papers hold. Let's begin with Punch. NIMET predicts 3-day thunderstorms and rainfall nationwide. NIMET predicts 3-day thunderstorms, rainfall nationwide. Meanwhile, it rained all through the night in some parts of the Federal Capital Territory. NIMET has forecast thunderstorms and rainfalls across the country from Monday all the way to Wednesday. Yesterday was when the weather outlook was released in Abuja, and it predicted isolated thunderstorms with moderate rains on Monday morning over Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, Kebbi, Adamawa, and Taraba states. And in the afternoon and evenings, isolated thunderstorms with moderate rain are expected across the northern region. Flash floods you would experience in Adamawa, Taraba, and Gombe State. For the North Central, we are hearing that a cloudy atmosphere with intervals of sunshine is expected on Monday morning, accompanied by moderate rainfall. Places like Niger, Kogi, Kwara, the FCT, and Benue would experience those. If you want details on that story, head on straight to Punch to see more. There is a full report of what's to be expected on Tuesday and, of course, on Wednesday for all of these states mentioned earlier. Lagos reduces minimum estate land size to 5,000 square meters. Lagos reduces minimum estate land size to 5,000 square meters. Before now, it used to be 10,000 square meters. Now it is 5,000 square meters. The Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development was the one who let us know, Dr. Oluyinka Olumide, during the maiden quarterly media parley that was held at the conference room of the ministry in Alausa, Lagos State. More details, head on straight to Punch. Let's see what else we can find. COP faces dismissal over 915,000 naira rice fraud in Lagos. A police officer faces dismissal over 915,000 naira rice fraud in Lagos. Katsina man arrested for impersonation and firearms recovered. Katsina, firearms recovered. 3.9 billion naira drugs. NDLEA nabs Indian businessman and his accomplice in Lagos. NDLEA nabs Indian businessman accomplices in Lagos. 2 feared killed in Lagos suspected cult attacks. Lagos, revives Akwa Ibom into school competitions. Fidelity Bank spotlights fintech's role in U.S. African trade. Kanu seeks transfer from DSS custody to National Hospital. Kanu seeks transfer from DSS custody to National Hospital. Ogun urges residents to relocate over flood threats. Ogun State government threat. Lagos stops 6-story building construction after Punch report. Crude earnings fall by 3.18 trillion naira amid output surge. Obi visits Olubadan designate. Harps on Nigerian unity. Emergency rule, Ibas defends 6-month tenure as opposition demands probe. Page Vanguard for the 15th of September 2025, how attendants manipulate fuel pumps and extort petrol consumers nationwide. How attendants manipulate pumps and extort petrol consumers nationwide. How I was scammed. victim recounts. Cheating usually intense during scarcity. Cheating usually intense during scarcity, according to a motorist. NMDPRA lacks adequate personnel and they are absent at filling stations. See details of the story on page 21. The story is about how attendants manipulate pumps and extort petrol consumers nationwide. There's a photo associated is of DPR, shutting down some stations. I was billed 22,000 naira for a 20,000 naira petrol. A victim recounts. Wow. Okay. All the details there on Vanguard rather. Business startups in Nigeria on a 3-year downward trend, according to a report, dips to 24% in 2024. Business startups in Nigeria on a 3-year downward trend, according to a report. Creation of new businesses in Nigeria has been on a downward trend over the past 3 years. That's what the report shows. The survey examines the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the performance of nano, micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in Nigeria, and is usually conducted every year by Fate Institute. The research, the policy, and advocacy arm of Fate Foundation. Anyway, the 2024 SOE report attributed the slowdown in business creation mainly to the prevalent harsh economic conditions in the country. You see more details there on Vanguard. 2027, PDP's alleged shortlisting of Jonathan Obi Makinde raises dust. PDP's alleged shortlisting of Jonathan Obi Makinde raises dust. Afrexim Bank launches a company to promote large-scale intra-African trade. How to use AI to get a high-paying job in 2025. Are you interested? Head on straight to Vanguard. How to use AI to get a high-paying job in 2025. Federal government targets 25% industry share of GDP by 2035. Niger government demands clerics submit sermons for approval. Niger government is demanding that clerics should submit their sermons for approval before they preach the sermons. Yeah. UK-based doctor abandons Operation Midway. Wow. To make love with nurse? Yeah, that's what I see. UK-based doctor abandons Operation Midway to make love with nurse. One Nigeria, how Governor Mba is leading the Azikiwe dream. Photos, you'd see Obi, Tanko, Rhodes Vivo, visit Obasanjo, Olubadan, and happen unity and justice. Speak truth to power. Tinubu challenges faith leaders. Speak truth to power. Federal government predicts flooding in 11 states, advises evacuations. Page 18 has details. Federal government predicts flooding in 11 states, advises evacuation. NDLEA arrests Indian, 3 Nigerians over 3.9 billion naira tramadol shipment. Foreign policy. Nigeria remains non-aligned. Tugar says Nigeria remains non-aligned. Diamond-rich Botswana appoints Nigerian Farouk Gumel as chairman of Sovereign Wealth Fund. Diamond-rich Botswana appoints Nigerian Farouk Gumel as chairman of Sovereign Wealth Fund. Okay, columnists featured today away on 16, Odinkalo on 17, and Shobowale on 23. 2 photos on the front page of Vanguard today. First, UBA's GMD visits Ruto. And then second is Peter Obi visits Obasanjo. Mr. and Mrs., you expect me to cook, serve the food, clean the house, run the bath, like Stella. Let me get that very clear. Okay, I got it. Mrs. starts the talk. She says, you expect me to cook, serve the food, clean the house, and scrub your back in the bath like Stella. I'm not Stella. Fingers are not equal. Mr. replies, but you respect my fingers to buy what rich men buy their wives. We have Daily Independent right here. 6 months to deadline. Only 14 banks have met recapitalization. Only 14 banks have met recapitalization. Prevent strike by varsity unions, pro-chancellors tell federal government. Prevent strikes by varsity unions. SERAP gives INEC 7 days to punish politicians over early campaigns. That's on page 7. Remember, INEC is trying to explain that there is not much they can do about early campaigns. Well, SERAP today on front page Independent has given INEC 7 days to punish politicians over early campaigns. Outgoing Reversal Administrator begs politicians to embrace peace. Federal government warns of flooding in 11 states, urges evacuation. Do not dent your image by running in 2027, Shagay tells Jonathan. Those asking him to run are selfish elements, Afegua opines. Obedience denied begging ex-president to step down for Obi. Without reforms, judiciary risks further public trust erosion, according to lawyers. Demand independence, technology, and cheap access to justice. September MPC. Analysts see CBN keeping rates steady. Analysts see CBN keeping rates very steady. Front page leadership. Evacuate now. Communities near Niger, Benue, Gongola rivers are told to evacuate now, as federal government issues fresh flood alerts to 10 northern and 1 southern state. Early campaign, INEC required to charge violators, says Falana. INEC is required to charge violators. Monetary Policy Committee members project Naira at $1,400 by the end of the year. 1,400 Naira to $1, pardon me. Monetary Policy Committee members project Naira at 1,400 Naira to $1 by the end of the year. Details of the stories on page 33. Let's nurture the seeds of reconciliation in Rivers. Ibas speaks. Preachers must submit sermons for approval. Niger governor. London court dismisses ownership claim on property linked to General Husseini. The story starts on the front page and continues on page 7. Another story on page 7, North cannot take power back in 2027, says Bago. You want to know why resident doctors suspended their strike? Check page 6 of Leadership. The headline is, Why We Suspended Strike, Resident Doctors. We have not submitted list of state chairmen to INEC. ADC clarifies on page 30. Yeah, on page 30. It looked like 10, but it's 30. We have not submitted list of state chairmen to INEC. All right, let's take pen pushing media. Then we would we'll take a break and then come back to see more stories. We're looking for today's headlines. Okay, what do we have? International Press Institute raises alarm over rising media repression in Nigeria. International Press Institute raises alarm over rising media repression in Nigeria. Canada rejects 1,596 Nigerian asylum applications. Wow. Canada rejects 1,596 Nigerian asylum applications. So that's almost 1,600. Kano State government approves 1.1 billion naira for school uniforms. Kano State government approves 1.1 billion naira for school uniforms. Canada 62-year-old man bags 8 years imprisonment, 38 years after committing sexual assault. 62-year-old man bags 8 years imprisonment, 38 years after committing sexual assault. I'm not on talking terms with former Governor Fayose. Maybe we will reconcile when we get to heaven, says his younger brother. In terms with former Governor Fayose, maybe we will reconcile when we get to heaven. That's his younger brother. Nigerian government predicts flooding in 11 states. Ambassador Ishola greets veteran journalist Najim Jimoh at 73. In a short while, we'll be looking at other papers. Stay with us at Citizen FM 93.7.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM Abuja. Now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM, Citizen FM. Yeah. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy.
The renewed hope agenda for Nigeria is the brainchild of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. It is geared towards renewing the hopes of Nigerians for a better future through its policies, projects, and programs that are aimed towards lifting the GDP and economic growth of the nation by improving standard of living of the average Nigerian. The Renewed Hope Agenda Radio is poised to promote all of the above while enlightening Nigerians as well. Join us every Tuesday afternoon, 2 p.m. on Citizen FM Radio, 93.7, Labor House, Central Business District, Abuja. Renewed Hope Agenda Radio on 93.7 FM. The future starts today.
The issues. Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president.
Theory behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retired without a roof over his head.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country.
Who cannot be divorced from those who cause the crime. Honestly,
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
why are you so concerned about that?
He said money was.
I never.
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
The source is constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow Insight returns with another interesting.
Insight with Lawrence Umwete on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
This is our journey. We've had our finest moments and our darkest hours. Yet we pull ourselves back from the brink every time. We are a resilient people. We are Nigeria. And when we talk, we share our views on Talk Radio 93.7, Citizen FM. A people united will never be defeated.
government expands food feeding program to 50 million pupils, mark by 2026. Federal government expands school feeding program to 50 million pupils, mark by 2026. That's the big story on the front page of the Daily Times. We're looking at newspaper headlines today, 15th of May, 15th of September. I don't know how I went back in time. 15th of September 2025. That story details on page 7. That's the federal government expanding school feeding programs to 50 million pupils mark by 2060. Resident doctors suspend warning strike. Banks on federal government assurances. Resident doctors suspend warning strike and they are banking on federal government assurances. Conviction of terrorist commander is a win against illegal mining. Alake speaks on page 8 of the Daily Times. Climate data needed to stem financial risks. NLCK tells regulators. Climate data needed to stem financial risks. That's NLCK telling regulators. Police foil cult and robbery activities in Asaba, Ibusa, arrest 63 suspects. Team, not mandatory for bank accounts opening. FIRS clarifies. Tax identification number. Team, not mandatory for bank accounts opening. FIRS clarifies. Quickly now, the Daily Sun. Opposition parties regroup for 2027. ADC's neck to meet and to set Congress date. That's neck of ADC to meet and to set regular Congress dates. Nenadi Usman-led ESCO takes control of Labour Party. PDP remains divided and they risk disintegration over Jonathan. Race to recapitalization, 6 bank meets CBN's requirements. 6 banks meet CBN's requirement. Dangote Refinery accuses Dapman of misleading Nigerians. Uzodimma presents book on APC's 10-year leadership, September 30. Uzodimma presents book on APC's 10-year leadership, September 30. That's in about 15 days' time. Chance. Commuter's nightmare in Abuja. Commuter's nightmare in Abuja. Residents urge concrete action. That's front page, the Abuja Inquirer. One chance. Commuter's nightmare in Abuja. Abuja Chamber blasts FCTA for neglect ahead of trade fair. Check page 6 to see details. Abuja Chamber blasts FCTA for neglect ahead of trade fair. Federal government MACBAN move to end cattle roaming in Abuja. Federal government and MACBAN move to end cattle roaming in Abuja. Tinubu removed subsidy without thinking about the next election. Bajabiamila says Tinubu removed subsidy with next election. You want to get details? Check page 10. Cholera deaths rose by 50% in 1 year, says WHO. If you followed news across Africa, we took that story. The death rose by 50%, that were reported by an extra 5%. Anyway, you'd see more details on page 14 of the Abuja Inquirer. Flood alert. 11 states at risk of heavy rain this week. Just this week. Emergency rule. 3 days to end the Bashol's farewell service. The photo on the front page of the Abuja Inquirer is a cross-section of bishop and guests at the opening of the second plenary of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria, CBCN, in Ikotepele, Akwa Ibom State on Sunday, September 14, 2025. The President, President Bola Tinubu, who was special guest, was represented by the SGF, Senator John Jacome. All those present were Senate President Godswill Akpabio, APC National Chairman, Ilwata Governor Umoeno, the Apostolic Nuncio to Nigeria, Archbishop Michael Francis, President of the CBCN, Most Reverend Lucius Ugoji, and host Bishop of Ekatepede Diocese, Bishop Omo, amongst other Catholic bishops from across Nigeria and other dignitaries. That's the front page, that's the cover photo. This day, Dangote's crude import hit 60 million barrels in the first half as Nigeria's petrol bill swells to 4 trillion naira. Goods valued at 18 trillion naira moved through Apapa port in Q2, the second quarter. At 1.43 million barrels per day, Nigeria's OPEC oil output shrink to 5 months low in August. Diamond Rig Botswana appoints Nigerian as chairman of multi-billion-dollar sovereign wealth fund. Despite agitation and permutations, Tinubu unlikely to change Shettima as vice president in 2027. Despite agitations and permutations, Tinubu is unlikely to change Shettima as vice president in 2027. Afreximbank MDGIF signed $500 million MOU to develop Nigeria's gas infrastructure. Ibas winds down emergency rule, urges Rivers people to unite. The Guardian has something different. Back to school. Parents struggle with steep tuition hike as schools wrestle rising OPEX. Parents struggle with steep tuition hike as schools wrestle rising OPEX. Punish politicians in early election campaigns. Sarah tells INEC 11 states may experience heavy flood. Experts are divided over Fubara's return as emergency rule expires on Thursday, just in a few days' time. Shekaro's PDP chairmanship, ADA's prospects on settled ADC coalition. Aregbesola condemns APC's economic policies. Don blames poor nutrition policy execution for 45% child morbidity. Don blames poor nutrition policy execution for 45% child morbidity. And you can send your WhatsApp messages to 0818 2222205. It's exactly 8:30. You send your WhatsApp messages to 0818 2222205, or you can call 0903 2229797. If you want to react to any one of the stories, please go ahead and pull the call through to 0903 2229797. I'm not sure if you're able to call the number, but you can send your WhatsApp messages to the earlier number I called 0818-222-2205. Turning on the line now, it's looking unfamiliar. I'm going to shut it down and turn it back on, hoping that it regulates. But in the event you're unable to call, please send a WhatsApp message to the number I called. Moving on now back to the headlines we're taking. Aregbesola condemns APC's economic policies. Akpabio urges Nigerians to tarry, says Tinubu's reforms will bear fruit. Check page 5 for details. We're looking front page on The Guardian. Dabman warns against divisive narratives in downstream sector. INEC and others tasked on credible polls to avert protest. INEC and others have been tasked on credible polls to avert protests. Okay, you cast your mind back, you'll remember that on the front page of Daily Times, we saw the headline that reads that resident doctors have suspended the warning strike and they are banking on federal government assurances. Well, looking at the front page of the Daily Monitor, the big story is FCT resident doctors declare indefinite strike. FCT resident doctors declare indefinite strike, cite failure of FCTA management to address their legitimate demands after 1 week warning strike as the reason why they're going on an indefinite strike. NARD suspends warning strike after federal government assurances. So the National Association have suspended their own warning strike, but the FCT resident doctors have embarked on an indefinite strike. Early campaigns. Charge violators to court. Falana tells INEC. My government is working to build a country that works for everyone. Says his administration will leave no one behind through its social investment program. That's President Tinubu speaking. Urges religious leaders to champion peace. Federal government realigns TRCN NTI rules to strengthen teaching profession. Post UTME, rising fees, logistics burden, spark public outcry. Obi visits Ladoja, says Ibadan land is key to Nigeria's human and capital development. FRSC deploys senior officers for effective service delivery nationwide. Gory cover photo on Daily Monitor today. Scenes of an accident which happened during the weekend, killing 19 persons after a vehicle conveying a bride and her family members plunged into a river following the collapse of the dilapidated bridge at Fast Community somewhere in Gumi local government area of Zamfara State. Zamfara accident, mother found dead holding child. That's we're looking at Daily Trust now. Kaduna houses farms flooded, federal government issues a loss in 11 states. Billions at stake as Nigerians pay for failed USSD transactions. 2027, only endorsement by citizens can save Tinubu. Sanusi raises alarm over federal government's borrowing. Returning the bits, stay with us. It's Citizen FM 93.7.
Kẹ́kùn ní ó gbọ́ kó sọ fún gbogbo kẹ́dùn gbọ́kọ̀rọ̀ kọ́ bẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ètò kan tí yóò ṣọ bí òṣùmọ̀ lójú ọ̀run ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú baba Kẹ́ngbe tí yóò ṣọ lórí iléeṣẹ́ Citizen FM 93.7 Àbújá ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú baba Kẹ́ngbe ètò aláre yóò máa mìlú títì bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti agogo 9 sí agogo 11 alalẹ́ ọjọ́ ìsinmi Sunday ọmọ yín olólùfẹ́ yín ni Olú Tọmọrí Wílọ́mì MC Tiza baba Kẹ́ngbe Kẹ́ngbe ọ̀rọ̀ fún ẹ̀ jagunmúdà pèdàgbáyé làtọ́kùn ètò ẹ má gbàgbé o ìgbádùn rẹpẹtẹ pẹ̀lú baba Kẹ́ngbe lálálẹ́ Sunday ni o bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti agogo 9 títí dé agogo 11 gbáko lórí iléeṣẹ́ alálùbáríkà Citizen FM 93.7 Àbújá àbúlùdù dé o ẹ má mí ṣe o mẹ̀sí kọ̀kú.
The issues.
Everybody respected that because it was coming from the president. Peering behind it, the way the people took the battle in their hands.
Some civil servant retire without a roof over his head.
The cause.
If we cannot trust you, then you cannot take the ticket of this country. Those things cannot be divulged from those who cause the crime. Honestly,
The passion.
You must have national spread. So where is it?
Why are you so concerned about that? He said money was.
I never.
No.
The platform is always the same.
Insight on Citizen FM 93.7.
Oh, shoot. It's constant.
My name is Lawrence Umoite.
There is always an opportunity.
Tomorrow, Insight returns with another interesting.
Insight with Lawrence Umoite on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Be part of the experience.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ Miliki, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ Miliki, óyá óyá óyá, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ ẹ̀sọ́ pẹ̀lẹ́ níjó wa, óyá óyá óyá.
This is Evangelist Professor Ebenezer Obey,
I also enjoy listening to Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Please keep on listening to the soul of the nation. Thank you. Oluwami,
you know, our conversation, the last conversation, you know how something just pops from your stomach? I can't even explain. I'm so sorry. I could have sent it since home, and then I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know why I didn't send it. I'm really sorry. I'm sending it now because you didn't like you just hit me now that you gave me a different, number rather than the one. I'm so sorry. And you even explained, you and husband man collecting the same. My bad. Sorry, my dear. I'm sending this right after the next 30 minutes. Gradually winding down, the Chancellor's demand ends the varsity strike, urge federal government to deal fairly with unions, commence government's moratorium on universities, call for review and increase of budgetary allocations to education, resident doctors suspend strike, issues fresh 2-week ultimatum to the federal government. The story is captured on pages 2 and 4. Legislative face-off, lawyers push for Akpotu Duala's return. Why Senate's indefinite suspension cannot stand. Check pages 14 and 16 to see details of that story. Lagos to close Ozumba Badiwe at night for week-long road repairs. Lagos to close Ozumba Badiwe at night for week-long road repairs. Wike Fubara Shani passes farewell Thanksgiving service as administrator calls for reconciliation. That's on page 2. Stronger capital inflow boosting Nigeria's FX reserves. Jet fuel sales in Africa boost Nigeria's earnings by 76% to 4.82 trillion naira. Serap to INEC punish early campaign offenders or face legal action. APC poised to retain presidency in 2027. Targets Guba in 30 states. Bashiru speaks on pages 10 and 11. CBCN continue to denounce violence. Tinubu tells faith leaders. Hostage. Families blame Netanyahu for impasse with Hamas. That's just something that popped up on the front page of New Telegraph. Here is a study captured on page 30 of New Telegraph. Too much vitamin D can be deadly. Too much vitamin D can be deadly. So check the intake. And you may want to also get the details of that report. It's on page 30 of New Telegraph. Have we looked at leadership? I believe so. Daily Independent? I believe so. All right, so let's look at Nature News very quickly. Just a few stories. Bean farmers deny using cement as food preservative. Assure consumers of safety. So there were concerns raised earlier that bean farmers were using cement as a food preservative. Well, they have come out to deny using cement as food preservative and they've assured consumers of safety. Nigeria's ODF crisis threatens 2030 nationwide sanitation target. Trash troubles. Abuja's uncontrolled waste piles. Abuja's uncontrolled waste piles spark health concerns. That's story on page 3. Consider the big one actually. Abuja's uncontrolled waste piles spark health concerns. And now to Sporting Sun very quickly. Atalanta demands 100% loyalty from Lookman to freeze him out against PSG. Atalanta demands 100% loyalty from Lookman. Gala. Osimhen will be fit for Eintracht Frankfurt clash. Check page 6 for details of that. Injured Ndidi to return October 1. Iheanacho scores late penalty on debut. Djokovic changes plans. Enjoys live tennis instead of Riga visit. Bayern to sell Olise for £100 million. Redknapp blames Garnacho for Chelsea lost point to Brentford. Maresca doubts Joao Pedro's fitness for Bayern clash. Salah breaks another Liverpool record, becomes Reds' highest penalty kick scorer of all time, moves to 4th place on the Premier League's all-time scorers list. Alan punishes Man United as City pummels Red Devils. Jacob Kaminski sets new Bundesliga record. Isak celebrates Liverpool win. Salah's picture. And that's all we can take today on Newspaper Headlines. Thank you so much for staying with us. Francesca, I see you on WhatsApp. Thank you so much for your message saying ahead. Thank you. Oh, okay, yes. Oh, right. I can only say all the best to River State. Yeah, the sole administrator's time in office expires on Thursday. As I mentioned earlier, today is Monday, just 3 more days. He's done his farewell service. So it's just going to be about saying all the best to River State as they move on from this point. But thank you so much for your contribution. All right, and that's about it. Be top of the hour by 9 o'clock. The update will come your way. Citizens News Update at 9 would come your way. And then it'll be followed by Citizen Sports with the Sports Senator. Stay with us.
This is our journey. We have had our finest moments and our darkest hours. Yet we pull ourselves back from the brink every time. We are a resilient people. We are Nigeria. And when we talk, we share our views on Talk Radio 93.7 Citizen FM. A people united will never be defeated.
Actually explain.